Today we have Rashid. He's a highly sought-after public keynote speaker where he presents on the future of personal branding, mastering modern-day marketing, and how to turn your passion into a profit through out-of-the-box creation and distribution strategy. Can you give a hand to Ryan?
It's been so long since I've seen some of you. I was here last Friday. How many people were here last Friday? Raise your hand. Yeah. Almost everyone. Who was not here last Friday? So it's like this side. All right, cool. So I was here last Friday. We had a lot of fun, right? We had a lot of good breakthroughs. So what I'll do is this. So for the people that were here last week, kind of have to indulge me for 15 minutes while we kind of catch the people that were not here last week up to speed. So real quick, I'm an entrepreneur here in New York. I have a branding consultancy company where we work with different companies, different brands, different organizations of all sizes, helping them tell stories through video content, through podcasting. I speak around the world. I'm traveling about 6 months a year, speaking at conferences. I have a bunch of international projects that I lead in Latin America as well as in Europe and here in the US. And so I've given a couple of TEDx talks. I've written for Forbes. I've written for Entrepreneur. And I think that what I'm really excited about today is a lot of you I met last week, and a lot of you, some of you guys I don't know yet. But what I'm really excited about today is this is kind of like a part 2 to what happened last week, which is how do we build a personal brand, right? How do we build? I'm like, why is my phone going on? How do we build a personal brand, and then how do we support that brand? So before we jump into today's kind of presentation, I wanted to know just from the guy in the group last week, do you have any questions or comments about what happened when you went home? It might be a nice way to catch everybody else up with your questions. Do you even have any questions or comments or concerns or thoughts after last week's training? Yes.
Yeah, so I tried, well, first that I talked to you about last week.
Yep.
I had tried to do something similar where I live, where I started with my family, and they come and just, every time I come up with an idea or something, a project or something like that, they always shut it down and say,
Yep.
no, you're not qualified,
Yep.
you're not enough, or something like that. Even though for me, most of what I think of myself, or like how I grew up, it depends on how my family sees me,
Yep.
on what their opinions are about me or them.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you, even though you have this kind of voice telling you, you already know, you have experience or whatever, how do you stay motivated?
That's a great question. So, there's a lot to this answer, right? So, and this is kind of a perfect way to start this because I'm going to ask you guys all to think outside of the box. I'm going to ask you guys all to believe that you have something to share with the world. What's going to happen is, believing in yourself is already hard enough, right? That seems hard. But then you go home and you share ideas with people you love, whether it be your parents or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, or your brother or sister, grandma, grandfather, whatever. You share these ideas, you're excited, you finally start to believe in yourself. You go home, you share it, and they shoot you down. What do? Well, there's a lot of people that would say, like, just cut them out of your life. That's not so easy, right? So what I would say is this. There's a couple of things. Number one, you have to fully understand something. When someone is shooting your idea down, what they're really saying inside is one of two things. Number one, they're saying, I really love you so much. I really, really love you, and I want you to be okay in life. And anything that feels a little bit different than what I think you should do scares me. Right? And so they're actually not maliciously trying to downplay your dream. They're just actually legitimately scared for you because they didn't think about that in the first place. That's still dangerous, but it's not as dangerous as the second thing. The second thing is they look at you and they're so jealous that you actually went for the thing that you wanted, and they resent you for it because they never had the courage to do it. And they see you doing it, and now they're like, I hate that person because they're doing the thing that I wish I would have done. So it's almost like they're putting themselves in a safety zone to not feel bad about the fact that they didn't do it. If they shit on your dream and you don't go forward with it, then all of a sudden they still feel okay about themselves because you didn't get your dream either. Both scenarios are super dangerous. So what you have to do, in my opinion, from my experience working with this question comes up almost every single time I speak, right? So I give this advice, and then I ask them, email me what you thought, email me what you did, and how did it work out? A couple things work out. Number one, you actually, this is where I go with it, which is you actually have immense compassion to the person that's trying to kill your dream. And you don't have to say it out loud even if it's mom, like you can say to yourself in your head, wow, mom either loves me so much that she doesn't want me to suffer, or mom hates her life so much that she doesn't want me to love mine. In either case, I'm going to do my thing, and in 5 or 10 years, mom's either going to be right or wrong, but at least I did my own thing. And here's the funniest thing that happens. The people that crap on your dream at the beginning, when you start to get some momentum, they're the first people to be like, oh, I told you, like, I was just joking. I knew you could do it. You know? They're the ones that, like, I had resistance from certain people that were close to me in my life when I started my business 8 years ago. 4 years in, they're calling their friends. I can hear them on the phone with their friends talking about me in my business. Proud, excited. So the best way that you can prove your mom wrong, or your dad wrong, or whoever's giving you a hard time about your dreams wrong, is to go out there and do it. For you and your mom to argue right now, before you've started something, if it's going to work or not, makes no sense. It's like talking about who's going to win the football game, and the first quarter hasn't even started. Like, talk to me at the end of the game. You know what I mean? So my advice would be this. Number one, just know in your head, wow, this is not going to stop me, and I feel bad for this person. Or number two, have a conversation with them. You sit down and you say, listen, you know, maybe it's your brother. I said, listen, I love you. You're my brother, I love you, you are very important to me. I'm about to go do something. I know that you might not understand what I'm about to do. I know you might not even agree with it. I'm going to do it, so I'm not here asking you for your permission. I'm asking for your support. Because here's the craziest thing about it. The reason that you are even asking me this question is because deep down inside of your heart, the biggest fear you have is failing in front of that person. You don't actually want to fail in front of that person, and that's why you care about what they say. Because if you didn't care about that person at all, you wouldn't care what they say. So I would literally say, my biggest fear about starting this thing is that I'm going to fail and disappoint you. So what if we move into a place right now where you just support me from the beginning, and we go for this thing? That conversation right there, I can guarantee you, will lead to one of two things. Either, first of all, your mom will start to cry and say, like, I got you. Thank you for being an adult. I'm here for you. Or she'll say, no, I don't think you can do it. Either way, you have your answer, and either way, you know how to move forward. If it's, I don't think you can do it, then you never share anything with her again. You just go and you work and you show her. You don't have to cut her out. You have to stop talking to her, but stop talking to her about your dream. How was your day? You want to cook together? What's on TV? Like, there are other things you can connect with people about. I have hundreds of people in my life. I connect with all of them about different things. I talked to about 2 people about my dreams. That's about it. Does that help? Question?
Do you guys ever, the point at which, like, maybe like a friend of yours or someone that's close to you, like, do you think there's like a line that you have to draw, like if there's someone who maybe, I don't know how to ask this question, but
Like ask it exactly how you want to ask it. Give me your exact situation you're asking. If you want.
like if you know someone that always is bringing you ideas, but they never like go all the way with the idea, or like they're always doing it for a little bit and then they drop that and they do something completely different.
Yeah.
Like, do you support them no matter what they're doing, no matter how crazy it is, or do you be honest with them, or like how do you?
It's a good question. Who is the person?
My husband.
So are you the one that's got a lot of ideas and not doing them all, or
No.
he's the one that has the ideas and he's not doing all of
Yeah,
them?
yeah.
But what does he want from you?
I mean, I just try to support him no matter
But what does that
because
mean?
I
Like,
would
how do
want-
you support him?
I just say, listen, if you want to do this, let's do it. Do it, but actually do it.
And then they'll start 6 months later, they'll be a new idea.
Yeah.
And how often does this pattern happen? Like honestly, in order for me to give you real advice, you have to give me real answers.
Like every couple of months,
Every couple months is a new idea.
Yeah.
For how long has this been happening?
like a couple of years, because he doesn't like his job, so it's a problem.
Yeah. So it feels like it's hard. I would say be there for him as well as you can be, but I would not.
Like I don't want to, like, what if he does have an idea that actually does work, you know what I mean? I don't want to be the
Great, but it's not your responsibility to make that happen.
Right, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to be that one that's like, okay, stop.
So what I would say is like, listen, I love you. I love your ideas. I love the fact that you have new ideas every single month. Does he start the ideas and then 2 months later he stops them?
Well, like, he's never actually, like.
He's never actually started the idea.
Yeah.
So then you guys are just talking.
Yeah, it's just not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why don't you tell him, like, how about we do something? I love your ideas. Why don't you tell me about them when you've done 6 weeks of work on them? I mean, I don't know. You can figure that out. But what I would say is this. If it's a pattern, 2 years, every 2 months, that's 24 times, right? Or 12 times over the course of 2 years. My biggest advice is that you don't go off your direction. Like, you stay focused on what you need to do. If that's throwing you off every couple of months, then you have a problem. But if you can stay focused on what you're doing, and it's just a dinner conversation where he's like, babe, I got this great idea. And then 62 days later, he's like, babe, I got this great idea. I'm like, here, it's fine.
Right.
But if it's like, babe, I got this great idea, you need to stop studying this week because we're going to do this. Or, hey, I got this great idea, I need $1,000 every week for the next month because I need to. Then it's a problem. But if it's not throwing you off your track,
Yeah.
then I don't see a problem.
Right.
Does
Okay.
that help?
Yeah, that does.
Cool. Another question?
Whenever you need to like chime in with like
Yeah, of
give
course.
her advice to,
Yeah.
like
Are you her husband?
that
That would be awesome. Things would get real.
Right.
Can I give you some advice? Close your mouth.
Would you like my permission? I can keep it cool.
No, please.
No,
Are you her husband? Seriously.
no, so like I was gonna say, like he said over dinner, you guys are eating or you guys go to like a restaurant in your local area. Like I'm pretty sure you know what he's passionate about, and I know you know yourself or what you're passionate about, and see if there can be some sort of linkage or some sort of compromise where both of you agree on some sort of, thing that you want to do in the future, and both of you can work on that, so that way you're not each one from your own destiny or your own dream job, and he's getting like the best of both worlds. He's working on his passion, and you're working on something that you are really passionate about. So now both of those come to some sort of like, success, quote unquote success for you. I don't know if you've thought of that already, but it was just
No,
something
that's
that-
It's
I think you were talking about so basically, so it's a marriage, right? Marriage.
Are you her husband?
I
I don't even know anymore. Is your husband in this room?
No,
Okay. No.
So marriage is a partnership. So basically, what you said, if he's passionate about what dream they have, like support him through the process. Like
Right.
if I have a wife, I was supposed to process. She wants to major in PhD or master's. I'm supposed to dream either way. And that's a partnership. So that's good. Even though he has many ideas, you see the beauty in that's partnership. Marriage. You work with each other much and X, Y, and Z, and if he has a dream, if you support him, then he could achieve it. So, yeah, so, yeah.
One minute.
Comment?
Guys, let's do one more comment and then we gotta keep going.
So maybe he does have good ideas, but he doesn't know where to begin. So maybe he
That's
can
true.
go and tell him to write it down and actually
Yeah.
articulate what are the goals that he wants to do. Whether that's like a SMART goal, right? So that it breaks it down for him.
Yeah.
SMART, measurable, attainable, relevance, and then time management, and then just push him from there.
Yeah.
Because it's
That's a
like,
good point.
And keep
Support.
the focus on what he needs to do.
Right, like actually do something.
Yeah, because, you know, ideas are easy, right? Like ideas, you know, a million ideas. And I do agree, it's a partnership, but at the same time, you know, it's a partnership in the sense of like, you guys are in on this thing called life together, but it doesn't mean you have to surrender any of your own time and energy based on these ideas that keep happening. Now, if he comes to you in 6 months and says like, hey, I did 6 months worth of stuff, okay, yeah, let's see how we can do this together and figure it out. Or not. I mean, I'm a big believer in like, yes, let's come together, but like once you're pretty clear on what you want. Like I'm not here to help you figure out your whole life, because that's a lot of pressure on you. You have a lot going on too. Right? All right. So guys, good. Did you have a question?
Just a little bit, but it has to do with what we did.
Yeah, perfect. Go ahead.
So just could you explain the idea intersection?
Yes. So I'm gonna do this really quickly again for the guys and gals that were not here last week. So if you were here last week, just hang with me for 10 minutes, and then we'll get on to the next part. For the people that were not here last week, what we're gonna have to do for you guys to get up to speed is we're gonna have to figure out what is your passion. What is the thing that you want to create a job around? So let's start with like Muhammad, right? You said your name was? Muhammad, why don't you tell us what is, if you could pick a dream job, right? So this is what we did last week, right? My dream job or dream project is what? Perfect. Real estate manager. What was the last name?
Yeah.
So you want to do commercial or you want to do residential real estate? Both. So commercial. Cool. Commercial and residential. All right. Hey, welcome. All right. That's perfect. Who else was in here last week that wants to throw their dream job or dream project up there? Tell me your name.
Calvin.
Calvin? Nice to meet you, Calvin. So what's your dream job or dream project?
Dismantling the systems that oppress us and showing people how to do the same.
Man, I wish you were more ambitious, bro. Give me one specific job that you'd like to do just to start. You can have 15 jobs in that world, but what's one thing you'd like to start doing? Motivational speaking around breaking down oppressive systems. Good? I'm going to clear it in.
So, Moise.
What is it?
Moise.
Moise.
Yes, so for me, it's a little complicated because the ultimate or the dream job or goal is like way ahead.
Yep, what is it?
Like it's like the top, so like
Let's hear it. I love it.
president of our country.
President of your country.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So,
awesome.
I
We
have
got two
to-
presidents in here. He wants to be the president too.
But
What's
I have
your
to-
country?
Nigeria.
Cool.
So I have to work, I have a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
which quite frankly is what I think I'm trying to figure out right now. Because I don't think I necessarily want to be in the major that I am. I'm doing well, but I don't know if that's what I'm going to do.
What's the
I'm just
major you're
doing
in?
it because I'm electrical engineering.
Okay.
So I'm just doing it because it's the highest paid engineering,
Yeah.
and I need money to go into politics.
Yep.
And that's just the logic.
Yep.
I don't necessarily want to be an engineer.
Yep.
If I could stumble into comedy and make money before that,
What would you like to do?
what would I like to do?
Yeah.
Honest, way before president?
No, like if you didn't have to be an engineering major, what would you like to do?
Just have a good lifestyle.
Well, okay,
What would
but
I- I was-
listen.
So,
But like, what would you like to study, and what would you like to do if you didn't
So-
have to worry about making the money to become the president?
Right, so before I started taking engineering courses, I took some courses that were sort of related to political science.
Yep.
There's not a lot of money in it. But like I enjoy courses where I get to convert, when I get to have conversations, where I get to, not necessarily history, but like community, I get to learn about new people, new things, and then how to, some sort of a like ambassadorial program.
Yeah.
But I also did research, and I know there's not a lot of money in it. And
Well, the first thing I'd say to you is like, I think that you're off. Your strategy is off.
Right.
And here's why. Because, and like, this is, this is what's fun about having these small groups like this. Like last week we had so much fun. This right here is, I'm actually hoping to give you something. Like what I told you, I really hope that it will change your life. Like, I think that the advice I gave you about addressing people that are hating you is going to last you for an entire lifetime, and it's the number one biggest reason why nobody gets their dreams, because they have people hating on them, and then they let those people influence them for a number of different reasons. Usually it's because someone's paying for your college, and then they influence you. Like, but that, I don't know if that's your case, but either way, what I'm saying to you is really important. What I said to you, I think is important. You'll figure that out. What I'm about to tell you, I think, is one of those moments of impact, which is chasing money is always a bad strategy. And here's why. Because the things that pay well today might not pay well in 10 years. So a lot of people came to me and said, I want to make my kid code. I'm going to make my kid be an engineer in code software. And I'm like, why? Because it's a lot of money. And I'm like, and what are your kids that do? They love to play video games. But who's going to make money on playing video games? Guys, you know how much money people are making playing video games right now? Ungodly amounts of money. So if I'm your father, and you told me when you're 13 or 7 or 8 years old, you want to play video games, and I told you, go be a lawyer because you can make more money being a lawyer, by the time you actually come into that place of being ready to be in the workforce, lawyers are making way less than video game players. And if I would have let you do what you loved, you would have probably been the best video game player. Instead, you're a shitty lawyer. Right? You, my friend, are not going to be able to single-handedly fund your campaign for president. So what difference does it make? So that's the first thing. Second thing is I would say is this. And then I want to hear what you say, but I want to just finish this thought because I'll forget. Because I haven't, I'll forget. How old are you?
20.
Do you have a rule as to how old you get to be president?
Yes.
How old?
I have a specific year.
But how old do you? What's the year?
2052.
Perfect. So that's what year are we in right now?
Well, 2022.
So 32 years from now.
Yeah.
So what I would do if I were you is I would start a YouTube show right now called Becoming President of Nigeria in 20.
Yes.
Then I just document the next 32 years of my life. I'm dead serious. I do the same thing for you. If I was trying to build the biggest skyscraper in Manhattan, my journey to the top. That's what I'd call my show. Right? Because here's the fun thing. People are going to get so excited about this idea. Yo, I'm 22 years old. By the time I'm 50, I'm going to be president of Nigeria. I'm going to make a video every single day of something that I did to get there. When you become president of Nigeria, bro, you already have a documentary film made. Now, that's the first thing I do. Independent of whatever you decide with engineering or whatever. Second thing I do is I leave the engineering major tomorrow, unless you enjoy it. Oh, you do enjoy it. So then stay, and then dabble in different things, because an engineering degree is a smart idea to make money. You're going to make money. If you're doing it to make money, I'd say switch. But if you enjoy it, stay there, continue to make money, and then all my time and energy on the side would go to that documentation of that content. Like, I make my first video right now. Here I am in the Bronx, 149th Street, Nintendo sweatshirt on. I'm announcing my candidacy for president of Nigeria in 2050. I'm dead serious. That would be so rad. When you're 52 years old looking back at the first video you made, you will cry your face off. Because you will be so excited about the journey. Even if you don't become the president of Nigeria, I still think it's a worthwhile thing. Because somebody sees it, it's like, dude, I love what you're doing. I know you want to be president in 32 years, but next year I have an internship for you as an ambassador to the embassy of Nigeria. Do you want it? That might help you. That's how you get jobs. Get it?
He's got a good practice. He's going to be president of the Student Government Association.
Perfect. Perfect. I put the damn Nigerian flag on my desk.
So thank you first of all. And,
You like that idea?
I do. I really do, and definitely I'll probably start working on it. But just to comment on the, like you said, engineering is like the same thing. Because I did a lot of research as well. Because I know for a fact that what Bitcoin is these days, like it's never consistent, right? I don't know if you know Gary Vee.
Yeah, I know.
He made mention like college degrees are starting to not become the thing for companies anymore.
They're
There are
not.
companies
That's
right now that are looking at your idea, which
Yeah.
is true because I know someone. His friend told them, "This is what I want to do," and everyone laughed, and he never talked about it anymore. And then he never finished graduating, and now he works with Google.
Yep.
So he doesn't have a degree.
Yep.
So they don't need that. So I did all that research, right?
Yep.
But after doing the research was when I figured out like engineering, medicine, they were the two constants for over 52 years, or
Yeah.
more probably,
Yeah.
that they make this amount of money with this kind of degree and this
Yeah.
level of
You'll be fine in engineering.
Right.
You'll be fine in engineering.
So I guess that is why.
That's fine. And listen, I'm a practical guy. Like, I'm a dreamer, but I'm also very practical. We all need to make money in here. Like, we all gotta pay rent, we all gotta buy food, some of us have families, like, you gotta make money. I'm fine with that. I think your strategy is fine. What scares me about when somebody says, I'm doing it because I want to make money, is if you don't like it. If you like it and it's a good place to make money, you're gonna be great, you're gonna be fine. And the thing that I like about CUNY, which is why I went to CUNY actually, I went to CUNY Law School, and I'm a big fan of CUNY because what Gary Vee is saying, and he's right, and I agree with him, is that it's silly to go $200,000 in debt to get a college degree, to go do something that you don't need a college degree for. You're not going to go $200,000 in debt here, which is why I'm a huge fan of this system. Because most students get out at 22. It's actually the biggest scam in America right now, college. It really is. You get out at 22, you have $200,000 in debt. I'm not saying this school, I'm saying in general. You come out with $200,000 in debt and you have no idea what to do. You have no idea. And the piece of paper is not as, it doesn't matter as much. What you could do with a vlog every day about becoming the president of Nigeria or building the biggest skyscraper in Manhattan will be 1,000 times more efficient and productive than whatever you could do on any resume with any degree. That's what I'm trying to get. This is like a great question and a great thing that you're starting with because this makes me excited, and that's why I love coming here. It's my favorite group of students to talk to around the world ever, always. I say it every single year. I've been here like 14 times. Because this right here, you already understand that the idea is the dream. And the way to get that idea is what really matters. So what I'm hoping to do today, and what we started last week, is every single one of you starts to create content around this. I was on a podcast this week from this guy that I went to high school with. I haven't talked to him in 22 years. He reached out to me on LinkedIn. He's like, dude, I've watched your stuff on LinkedIn. I love your content. Do you want to be on our company's podcast? I get on the company podcast, and the guy, the president of the company, is like, I think we need to hire this guy because he's got so many good ideas about branding. All because I put up one video on LinkedIn. Do you understand how this works? It's like somebody's going to see the video or the article you post, and they're going to say, all right, I like this guy's attitude, I like his ambition, I like that he's young. Do you want an internship? And then you get an internship, and then you're going to crush in the internship. Then do you want a full-time job? Then you get a full-time job. Then all of a sudden you're making $100,000 doing something you love on somebody else's dime to get you closer to the dream that you want, so that in 7 years you can go off on your own. And you already had $500,000 saved up, you can go off on your own. Because he posted one article about why Manhattan real estate is interesting to 22-year-olds. And somebody read it, they liked it, and they asked them to interview. Guys, this is how it works. Like, sending your resumes around to companies is the worst idea in the whole world. No one's reading your resume. but doing what we're doing today is the future of personal branding for students. Question? Did I see a question? Yeah. Go ahead. Your first time, yeah? Yeah.
So, my dream job to be one day medical science.
Say it again?
Medical science professor.
A medical science professor. Good.
I got a very short term and long term goal. Because later I want to be a non-profit organization manager or director.
Yep.
So,
Which one do you want to do first?
I think taking the short term goal is be medical science.
Professor first.
And later a non-profit organization.
Yep.
And to help people about health and
Yep. Good. So, these are good. Medical science professor. Anybody else that's the first time that wants to share theirs? Yes.
We are going to just major, that's our associates, giving jobs to the educator, high school educator, or middle educator.
Perfect. So, grade school or high school educator. Perfect. Good. Anybody else? All right. So now, for the people that weren't here last time, yeah, go ahead. What is your dream job or dream project that you like to do? Clothing collaboration? What's that?
You make shoes.
You make shoes?
I don't make shoes, but I design.
So you design clothing. You can design clothing. Okay. So you want to do clothing design and collaboration? Okay. Cool. So here's what we did last week. Clothing. Okay. So who was asking about the idea intersection? Can we do that again? Let's do this one more time because this is really, really rad. So, all right, here's where we are. You guys have an idea, a dream job, a dream project. Great. Now, and even if you guys were here last week, I want you to do this exercise again because chances are it could change again. Now, so, a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, becoming a medical science professor, doing real estate, going into politics, right? These are all things. Wait, what did you say you wanted to do? Remind me?
Dismantle the systems of oppression.
Yeah. Yeah, dismantling the system, motivational speaking. Like, these are all things that are extremely common, right? A lot of people are doing these. So what we need to think about is how do we stand out? How do we become unique? How do we become different? In order to do that, this is the idea that I came up with this many years ago, this idea of idea intersection, right? And this idea of idea intersection, I actually call it when I give speeches, I say like, we're about to have idea sex. And everyone like laughs, they're like, that's awkward. And I'm like, yeah. So the idea of idea sex or idea intersection is coming up with many different ideas and then bringing those ideas together to create something truly unique. So, what I want you to do, even if you have that dream job, right? Real estate, impression, motivational speaking, education, clothing design, right? I want you to think through, how can you become different? So the example I used last week, which is the example I always use, which I think is really a good insight. I had a friend call me a few years ago. She said, Brian, I'm so bored of my job. I want to do my own thing. I cannot work for someone else anymore. She was an admin at a yoga studio. She was like, I need help figuring out how to do this. I said, sure, what do you love? Here's what she said. She said, I love the beach. I said, okay, everyone loves the beach, right? She said, I love my daughter. I'm a single mom, and I spend a lot of time with my daughter. I love her. She said, I love retreats and conferences, and I love well-being. I love healthy eating. I love yoga. I love Reiki. I love meditation, right? And I said, all right. And she said, what do I do with all these interests? And then she said to me, the last thing she said, the problem with these conferences and these retreats that I love to go to is they're really expensive. I can't go because they're super expensive, and they're not very inclusive of children. I can't really bring my daughter. So I said, all right, what if we have idea intersection and we find where all these things meet in a creative, out-of-the-box way? And I said, why don't you start? Why don't you start weekend retreats for single mothers and their children where you teach about well-being and you do it on the beach? And now she has a business doing exactly that. So when you guys are thinking through your thing that you love, right? And again, why don't we take a couple minutes right now and just write down what are your 1, 2, 3, 4 ideas and where could they intersect? Because then the next step, just so you know, this might be helpful, the next step is once you have that topic, then we're going to create content around it to be able to use.